Cookies. That would have been the first thing I got. Ice cream, still, to this day, and potato chips. Potato chips. When I was a kid, if somebody would have said, you can go to the grocery store, Gary, here's $10, your parents will never know what you bought, and it's okay, you won't get in trouble if they find out. Ice cream, donuts, potato chips, no doubt about it. What about you? You guys making your first communion. If you got $10, you could go to the store, the grocery store, and buy any food you wanted, and your parents aren't there, and you'll never get in trouble. What would you get? Candy, wow, 2 of the 3. We should get married. Anybody else? What would you buy different from those? Anybody have something different from those? What would you buy? All your own bread? Like bread. What kind of bread? Just like regular bread? That's cool. That's a little more healthy than I would have gone, but people disagree on that. Yes? Pizza! Yes. Yes. What about you, bud? Corn dogs. Wow. That's awesome. How much do corn dogs cost? What would you, man? Bananas and more bananas? Wow, your parents did something right with you. Henry.
Pizza.
Pizza for you too? Pizza is amazing. Sausage, pepperoni, hamburger, pepperoni. Meatloaf pizza. I had a meatloaf pizza once. It was pretty darn good. Okay, I got all those down. I got the grocery list together. And now let me tell you something about what goes into this stuff. You know, I don't know much about this, but I had to look this up. What are the ingredients of a carrot? Anybody know? I looked it up, but I have to still remember. Beta-carotene, vitamin A, tons of fiber. Anything else? I think that's about it. Okay. The ingredients of a donut? Sugar. You know, I would say, you guys who are making your first communion, I think you'd agree with me, our moms and dads are really smart. And they know what's really healthy for us. They know more than we do about what's healthy for us, right? I think it's really true. They know that we need to be healthy in our minds and in our bodies. So what we put in, what we receive, what we eat, can be really good for our minds or bodies or not. But you know what else I think they know that makes them really smart? I think they know what we really need in our hearts and in our souls. They know more than we do about what we really, really need right here, where we feel things, where we have passions, where we care about things and care about people. They're smart enough to know what we need that way too. And that's why they brought you guys here for your very first communion. Because they're smart enough to know that when it comes to stuff of the heart and of the soul, there's something here that's really, really good for you. And they know that if you stay home this morning and did what you'd really like to do sometimes, like play games, video games, build things with your logs or whatever those things are called, you'd have a lot of fun doing that, and I'll bet any money it'd be more fun to stay home and play with your toys than it would be to come here for Mass. I'll bet any money that's way more fun. But you know what they know? That even though it's lots more fun probably to stay home and play, hang out at home, even stay in bed, they know there's something here. They're smart enough to know that there's something here you really, really need. And that's why they brought you to your very first communion. You know, they could have stayed home too, right? Every Sunday they could stay home. They got a lot of tugs at them, your parents do. Look at them. They're here. They got a ton of things to do today. They had a ton of things to do yesterday to take care of you and your family and your home and everything that's about. And sometimes they don't make the healthiest choice either. None of us are perfect, right? But even though there's a lot to do at home and probably a lot of fun things they could do, think of some of the fun stuff your parents could be doing. They could be playing in the garden right now. They could be gardening. They could be sleeping. They could be walking in nature. They could be reading a book. They could be hanging out with each other. Parents, is this sounding better all the time? And even though they sometimes don't make the healthiest choice for themselves, they know this is the right thing to do, and that's why they come. And that's why they brought you. It's really, really cool. The carrot. There's a lot in this thing that's really good for us. And I'd like to propose to you guys, and all of us who are here today, there are a lot of ingredients to Mass. A lot of ingredients that are really, really good for us. That make it good for us to be here. That keep us big and strong and alive in our hearts. I just picked out 5 ingredients of this Mass and every Mass you go to that I think are really, really good for us. And I'd like you to think about them, because maybe you kind of know them in the back of your mind, but you don't really articulate them. But when you get down to saying them and reflecting on them, it can make a huge difference in what we get from this. The first ingredient of Mass that I think is huge, huge, and so good for us is community. Look around you. Just take a second, look around at these amazing people. You don't even know their name, but you're part of something bigger than yourself right now. And you're part of something bigger than just hanging out with people you agree with and your own family and your own best friends. As awesome as that is, you're part of something huge. Not just here. This is just a microcosm of it. But it's a universal community that stretches across every city, every town, every metropolis on the planet. There are people doing just what we're doing, and even though you can't see them, you know they're here. James Joyce said, "Here comes everybody," referring to the Catholic human family. Here comes everybody. And we are a motley crew. We are a motley crew. And we don't always smell right. But you know what? We're here. And we're part of something bigger than ourselves. And I'd like to propose to you that it is really good for us, as much of a hassle as it is to come together and do something like this, it is so good for us. Look around again. This is community. This is what it's about. This hour brings us together with friends and strangers. And there's so much we're exposed to when we're exposed to those who are other than us. I'd like to propose to you that this is crucial. To gather like this with people we don't even know and do something together. Crucial. It's good for us. It is good for us to be here. Another ingredient that I think is incredibly important and good for us. It is good for me, it is good for us. And that is, in this place, at this time, in this communion, we are never closer to those who have gone before us. We are never closer than here with those who have gone before us. Our ancestors. Even the big ones like Peter and Paul and Louise de Marillac and Claire of Assisi, Francis, they're here. They're part of this. And so are your mom and your dad if they're gone, your grandma and your grandpa if they've died, your neighbor, your friend, they're here. You're never, ever on this planet closer to them than in the moment of communion. That's really good for us, to be connected like that. Another ingredient of the Mass that I think is really, really healthy for us, it's good for me and for you, is what happens here at the beginning of every week is we remember our purpose in life. You know, we can get so caught up, you guys, in everything we have to do, all the deadlines, all the homework, all the sports, and everything else that fills our day, that every once in a while we never step out of it and look at the big picture. What Mass makes us do, the ingredient necessary for us to be healthy, is it helps us remember our purpose at the beginning of every new week before we go crazy with everything that's going to go on in the week to come. We remember our purpose for being on this planet. You know, you guys, you're 7, right? Pretty much. 8, sorry. Never correct a priest, ever. I am totally teasing. Please correct us. Rebuke us, exhort us. Nevertheless, you guys, whatever age you are, you have a reason for breathing. There's a reason you exist. You were born. You've lived 8 or 7 years. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason you're here. And this connects us with that purpose. It is good for us to be here. Another ingredient is not only just remembering why we're here on this planet, it also gives us meaning to our suffering. Now, these are big words for first communicants. But you know what, you guys, you know what it's like to suffer. You've hurt. You've had your feelings hurt. You've felt rejected and skipped over. You know what it's like to cry. There's meaning to that, and we connect with that meaning right here. The symbol of that is that cross over there, the one who suffered too. And this brings us right to that cross, to make some sort of sense out of the bad days. That's really, really good for us. And the last ingredient, there's more, but I think it matters perhaps the most of all. It is good for me and it's good for you to be here because Jesus is here. He said he would be. He promised. In the gospel you heard, he promised. He said, I will be here for you in bread and wine and community and the word and the sacred words you just heard proclaimed. I'll be here for you. And you know what Mass is? It's this great convergences. We have the presences of Jesus all through our week, all through our years. But it all comes together right here in this hour in good people, in those ancient and wise words from the Scriptures, in bread broken and a cup poured out. He's here. And it's really, really good to meet him here because that's the friend who won't leave. That's the friend who's going to hold you in your heart when you're hurting, and it's the friend who's going to push you out there when you're scared and say, you can do it. You can do it. And it's just not 8-year-olds who need to hear that. 60-year-olds need to hear it too. Somebody to hold us when it hurts, and somebody to get us out there when we're scared. That's this Jesus. And there's nowhere he's here on this planet like he's here. Wholly here. And what's going on in this hour, especially bread and wine. It's good for me to be here. It is good for me to be here. And I got to tell you, it's so good for me, and I know that so well now that it means the world to me, and I hunger and thirst for what we do here. And if I have to miss Mass for one reason or another, I miss Mass. I miss it. It's really that important to me. And I think with all the fun stuff I could be doing instead and all the to-do list and all the other stuff I could be about, this is good for me. And it might not be the first thing I think of when somebody says, what do you want to do with 4 hours on a Sunday morning? But it's really, really healthy for my heart and my soul, and for a lot of what matters for me to be alive and well. What I eat here makes me a better and healthier man. And my ancestors knew that. My mom and dad knew that. And that's why when I came kicking and screaming to church, they said, we're going, Gary. You know why? Because it's good for you. It might not be what you really want to do right now, but it's really good for you. It's just like eating these things. You know? If I had my way to choose between these two, are you kidding me? But I hope sometimes at least we make the right choice, because you did today. By coming to Mass, by making your first communion, you made the healthiest choice you could for your life. We love you a lot.